Alright, so today we're going to talk about some angles, an angle measure, okay? Our first term is a ray, okay? Here's what a ray looks like. It has an endpoint and it goes on forever in only one direction, okay? Opposite rays are two rays that have a common vertex, okay? They share a common point, but they go on forever in two different directions. One way that I would name this ray, ray BC, would be one way, and I would put B first because that's the vertex. And the way I would name this ray would be BA, and then of course starting with our vertex 2. So it starts at B and goes on forever in A direction. Okay? So if I were to name this ray, I would say ray CD, and it goes on forever in D direction. Okay? The arrow is always going to be pointing to the right. So again, you do have to make sure the order does matter when you're naming rays. Okay? You have to start with the vertex and then always put your arrow going towards the right. Okay? Alright, an angle is formed when you have two rays that meet or share a common vertex. Okay? So A would be our vertex of this angle formed. Our sides would be the two rays that are formed. Okay? You also have what we call interior points and exterior points. And anything that's going to be on the inside of your angle is obviously going to be interior. Okay, this is on the inside. Anything on the outside of your angle is going to be the exterior. Okay, so if you're looking at this example here, notice you actually have three angles. You have an angle here, you have an angle here, and then you have one great big angle. If I was asked a question, name a point that's on the exterior of this angle right here. Well, in this angle, A would be in the exterior of my angle, and I would name this angle as angle CBD. Okay? This angle, I use my angle symbol, and sometimes you can see it written that way as well. It doesn't matter if I call this CBD or if I call it angle DBC. You have to make sure that your vertex, though, is going to be in the middle. Okay? Alright, example 1 says use the figure to answer A and B. Name all the angles that have B as the vertex. So here's B right here. Notice I have 1, 2, 3, 4 angles here. Okay, I can't just call any one of them angle B because I've got 4 of them shown. So my first one would be, I could call it angle GBA, okay? Angle 5, which would also be called GBE if I want to. I could call it GBF if I want to as well. It's the same angle, okay? Angle 6 would be angle FBD. Okay, and then also angle 7 would be angle ABD. All right. My next question says name the sides of angle B. Here's angle B. Remember, since it's an angle, my sides are going to be the rays. So I would call this ray. Remember, since it's starting at B, BG. Okay, and then also it would be ray BE. And I start with B. Okay. Again, it doesn't matter if I say BE or BF because that's still along in the same line. All right? Okay. Then we're going to move on to degree measures of angles. And I put a little protractor here because remember, this is what is used to measure angles. Okay? It starts at 0 and goes 180 degrees on the left, and on the right it also starts at 0 and goes 180 degrees. So it doesn't matter whether you read it left to right or right to left. Okay? All right. And then reviewing right angle, acute angle, obtuse angle. A right angle has 90 degrees. And you're going to know it's 90 degrees given this right angle symbol. You can't assume it's 90 degrees unless they tell you. Okay? Acute angle is less than 90. And then an obtuse angle would be something in between 90 and 180. All right. So looking here at example 2, let me make this bigger. Maybe that'll make it a little easier to see. Okay, so example 2 says, use the figure. They want us to actually measure and classify it as right, acute, or obtuse. And if we were doing this in our notes, we could actually do this there. Measure T, Y, V is actually, notice this is a straight line. If this is 90 degrees on the right side, then that means that this one also has to be 90 degrees. So actually TYV is also 90 degrees, and so it will be a right angle. Okay, in class we'll actually get our protractor out and measure it. And then WYT, okay, WYT, go ahead and tell me if it is a right, acute, or obtuse. So obviously this one would be obtuse, okay, and we'll talk about the degree measure in class. And then measure TYU is right here. So TYU is this angle right here. So obviously it's going to be acute. Okay? All right, next we're going to talk about congruent angles. Two angles that have the same measure are known to say that they are congruent. All right, so if I'm saying these two are congruent, they're going to have these little arc marks on them, and that tells you that they are congruent. I can either say angle A is congruent to angle B, or I can say the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle B, okay? Either statement would be true. All right, an angle bisector is a ray that divides an angle in half. So if I have this ray that bisects this great big angle, that means both of these smaller ones right here are going to be congruent. All right? Let's do one problem and we'll be done. All right, so in this problem right here, I'm going to go ahead and leave it big. I'm just going to scoot it over. So it describes these opposite rays, and it says that KN bisects angle JKL. So if it bisects it, remember these two angles are going to be congruent. It tells me the measure of JKN is 8x minus 13, and the measure of angle NKL is 6x plus 11. They want us, in the end, to find the measure of angle JKN. So this is the one they're wanting us to find right here, okay? So obviously, if these two angles are congruent, then I know their measures are the same. So I'm going to say the measure of angle JKN is equal to the measure of angle JNKL, okay? So I'm going to plug in JKN is 8x minus 13 is equal to 6x plus 11. So when I subtract 6x, I get 2x minus 13 equals 11, plus 13 plus 13, I get 2x is equal to 26, and divide by 2, and I get 13. Make sure I'm right here. No. 11 plus 13 is 24, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay. All right, so whenever I plug in over here for JKN, the measure of angle JKN is going to be equal to 8 times 12 minus 13. So that's going to give me 96 minus 13. So the measure of angle JKN is going to be 73. Am I right? 83. 83 degrees. Okay.